The room with too many rules. The planet Rathazul was hot, crowded, and full of noise. Alien ships flew above the streets. Vendors yelled in strange languages. Different creatures with colorful skin, fur, or metal limbs moved through the busy walkways. It was a place where humans were rare, very rare. Dax, a young human engineer, had just arrived from a cargo freighter. He wore a dusty jacket, carried a small toolkit, and had only a few credits left in his account. He needed a room. Fast, he walked past 3 inns. Too expensive. 2 hotels. No humans allowed. 1 station pod, full of bugs. Finally, he saw a glowing sign in faded red letters. Rooms available. Cheap. By order of Jara, it didn't look great. But it didn't look deadly either. Dax sighed. It'll do. He pressed the buzzer beside the rusted metal door. A few seconds later, the door slammed open, and Jara stood there. She was tall, at least 8 feet, muscular with smooth dark red skin, 4 short horns on her head, and golden eyes that looked straight through him. Her arms were crossed, and her face said she hated wasting time. "You're the human?" she asked in a deep, sharp voice. "Yeah. Name's Dax. Just need a small room. 1 week. I can pay." Jara grunted. "Follow me and listen to my rules. Break them and I throw you out." Dax followed her inside. The hallway smelled like spice and old machines. Cracked lights buzzed above. The floor creaked with every step. Jara didn't look back as she spoke. Rule 1. No loud noises after nightfall. My walls are thin, and my patience thinner. "Got it," Dax said. "Rule 2, no weird smells, no open meat, no foreign oils. I catch a scent, you're out." "Okay." Rule 3, no touching other tenants. Some are sensitive, some bite. "Understood." Rule 4, no body fluids outside the washroom. Dax blinked. Yeah, of course." Jara stopped in front of a door. "And Rule 5, no sudden movements at night. If I see something strange on the security feed, I assume it's an attack." Dax nodded slowly. "This is, a lot of rules." She stared at him. "Then maybe you should find another place." Dax raised his hands. No, I'll follow everything, promise." Jara unlocked the door. Room 3B. Don't make me regret this. The room was small, but clean. A cot, a sink, a small light panel, and a screen on the wall. Dax dropped his bag, kicked off his boots, and sat on the bed. It creaked under his weight but didn't break. He smiled. "Not bad." He lay back and stared at the ceiling. His body was tired. His feet hurt. His credits were almost gone, but he was finally alone. He closed his eyes and drifted to sleep. 4:07 a.m. The scream echoed down the hallway. Dax woke up with a jolt. "What the hell?" He sat up. Another voice shouted, deep and furious. Feet stomped. Closer. Before he could say anything, his door burst open. Jara stood there, eyes wide, jaw clenched. She pointed at him. "Human. Why do you have a mini Shai Hulud between your legs?" Dax blinked. What?" She stormed into the room. The motion sensors picked up something alive, something long. It moved under the blanket. I thought it was a worm, or a blade snake. Dax sat up, confused and half asleep, then realized what she meant. He pulled the blanket closer. "It's not a worm. It's just... That's just normal." Jara's eyes narrowed. "That's normal? On Earth?" He nodded, blushing. "Yes. It's a human thing. It's not dangerous." She stared at him, then looked at the screen on her small wristband. Security footage from inside the room. "I saw it move," she said seriously. "It twitched." Dax groaned and covered his face. "I was dreaming." Jara stepped back slowly, still watching him like he might explode. "This is going in the report," she said. "Report?" She turned and walked out. "Room 3B, you're on thin ice." Dax collapsed back onto the bed, heart racing. He stared at the ceiling again. Worst. Landlord. Ever. But somewhere deep down, he had a feeling this was only the beginning. The culture shock. The next morning, Dax woke up to stares, not just curious glances, full-on, wide-eyed, unblinking stares. As he walked down the hallway toward the shared washroom, 3 alien tenants paused their conversations. One had 4 eyes, another had feathers instead of hair, a third held a cup of glowing green liquid and spilled it after. Seeing him, whispers followed him like a shadow. That's him, the one with the living thing. He hides a desert god between his legs. Dax scratched his head. What the hell is going on? At the washroom, he splashed cold water on his face and looked into the mirror. Okay, Dax, he muttered. Yesterday, your landlady thought your, equipment was a sacred sandworm. Now the whole building's talking. You need to clear this up. He stepped out and nearly bumped into Jara, the landlady. She blocked the hallway like a wall. Bathroom used properly? She asked flatly. Dax blinked. Yes. No accidents. No wiggling threats. Jara narrowed her golden eyes. Good. She turned to walk away, then paused. Tonight, the building council will ask you some questions. What kind of questions? Cultural ones. You've caused disruption. The tenants are confused. Some are concerned. One tried to write a song about you. What? Be there at the 9th cycle bell. She left without another word. Dax looked around the hallway. 2 alien kids peeked out of a room and quickly shut the door when he looked their way. He sighed. Perfect. I'm the weird new human with a legend in his pants. That night, the small common room was packed. Tenants sat in a circle. Different species, colors, shapes. Some were shy, others too curious. All were watching Dax like he was a rare zoo animal. Jara stood beside him with her arms crossed. Explain what the thing is. Dax blushed. It's not a thing. It's part of me. Normal for human males. A pink-skinned alien raised her hand. Why does it move without your control? It's, automatic sometimes, like a reflex. The 4-eyed one leaned forward. Does it sting? What? No, another asked. Is it poisonous? No. Jara spoke again. Then, explain what happened last night, the movement, the shape, the heat signature. Dax looked down. I was having a dream, a personal dream. Everyone went silent. Then one of them whispered, a mating dream? Dax covered his face. Yes. Gasps filled the room. A small feathered alien dropped his snack. You mate in your sleep? No, I mean, humans just... Never mind. Deep-voiced tenant named Grurak stood. He was massive with blue scaly skin. In my culture, such a creature would be worshipped. Only the desert kings were said to carry the shy Hulud beneath their robes. Jara hissed. That is a myth. This is science. Grurak smiled. Science and myth sometimes dance the same rhythm. Another alien whispered. He should be studied. Jara raised a hand. Enough. She turned to Dax. I have spoken. To the district council. They request you visit the Xenobiology Center for clarification. You mean, like a medical exam? Dax asked nervously. Yes. By law, any unknown species or organs must be declared and registered. I'm not a weapon, Dax said quickly. It's not dangerous. Jara stepped closer. Perhaps, but you caused panic. You confused children. You interrupted dreams across multiple rooms with your movement. Someone in the back mumbled. It really was majestic. Dax held up his hands. Well, fine, I'll go, but only for science, no cutting. Later that night. In her office, Jara sat alone watching security footage. She zoomed in on the moment Dax shifted under the blanket. The scan showed heat, pulse, motion, life. She narrowed her eyes. Strange, she whispered. Why would something so simple carry so much energy? Then she opened a hidden message on her console. 2. Jara. From Biodept Rathzul. Subject human may be carrying evolutionary traits we lost long ago. If confirmed, he could be the key to restoring our reproductive ability. Keep him close. Do not allow off-worlders to interfere. Jara leaned back in her chair. Her gaze darkened. The council's summons the city's district hall stood like a broken tower at the edge of Rath Zul's crater wall, half buried in red dust, guarded by stone-faced warriors and machines that didn't blink. And now Dax stood in front of it. He tugged at his collar, sweat forming on his neck. 2 alien guards scanned him twice, then guided him inside with no words. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. "All this because of what's between my legs." Inside the dark chamber, alien leaders sat on high seats made of bone and metal, the Council of 13. They stared at Dax like he was an exotic creature. In the center, a tall female with green scales and silver armor raised her hand. "I am Speaker Izarin. You are the human in Jara's building?" Yes, ma'am." She looked at a small data pad. "You caused disturbance, confusion, biological unrest." Dax winced. "Look, I didn't mean to." She held up a hand. "You possess an organ that mimics the shape and heat of the ancient Sheh-Hulud, sacred to many, feared by others. We demand clarification." From behind her, a hologram activated. It was a zoomed-in thermal scan of Dax's lower body from the security footage. Dax turned red. "Seriously?" One alien counselor muttered. "It twitches like a sand beast." Another added, "Or a tail with thought." Izarin continued. "As per Article 43A, any unknown biological weapon or mating tool must be examined by science staff. You will cooperate." "Wait, mating? What?" "Do not be ashamed," a soft voice said. Dax turned and saw a new figure enter the chamber. She was tall, elegant, and moved like wind. A long white robe covered her body, and glowing glasses framed her bright, intelligent eyes. "I am Dr. Selenia, Royal Xenobiologist. I will handle your case." Gently, Dax stepped back. "I'm not a case," Selenia smiled calmly. "You might be something more, something lost, something our kind needs again." "What does that mean?" Jara stepped out from the shadows. "She means our species stopped reproducing generations ago." Dax looked between them. "Wait, what?" Selenia nodded. "Our males are sterile. Our females cannot bond. But your biology may hold the answers. You think I'm a fertility key?" Selenia stepped closer, her tone quiet and serious. "No. We think you are the first hope in 1,000 years." The room fell into silence. Dax was frozen in place. Finally, he said, "So what happens now? You want to breed me?" A few counselors actually nodded. Selenia raised a hand. "We ask only to examine. A scan. Nothing more. For now." Jara crossed her arms. "You have my protection, but I will obey the law." Dax sighed. "Fine. But if anyone comes near me with scissors, I'm running back to Earth." Later that night, Dax sat alone in the waiting chamber of the Xenolab, wrapped in a hospital robe made of some weird blue fabric that smelled like vinegar. He stared at the glowing scanner in the center of the room. A cold metal bed sat beneath it. He rubbed his face. "Why me?" Suddenly the door opened. Selenia entered holding a small silver tablet. She walked slowly, carefully. "No one's forcing you, human. You can walk away. But if you do, we lose a chance to fix what was broken centuries ago." Dax looked up at her. "You think I'm some missing puzzle piece?" "No," she said, her voice almost kind. "I think you're proof the puzzle still exists." He stood, hesitating. Then slowly, he stepped toward the scanner bed. As he lay down, lights buzzed. Overhead, the machine hummed, scanning silently. Selenia's eyes widened as readings poured in. "Impossible," she whispered. "He's compatible. His energy flow matches ours. His pheromones react with our hormones. She stopped. Dax raised an eyebrow. "The what?" Selenia looked at him. "You don't just carry potential, Dax, you're a living cure." The royal scientist and the scanner lights dimmed. The machine let out a long hum as it finished. Dax sat up on the cold metal bed, still wrapped in the awkward robe, his heart pounding. Across the room, Dr. Salinia stood silently, staring at her glowing tablet. Her expression wasn't excited anymore, it was something else. Tense, heavy, focused. Dax cleared his throat. So, am I dying? Salinia didn't answer right away. She just kept reading. Okay, Dax said slowly. Not comforting. Finally, she looked up. Her voice was calm, but lower now, almost like she was afraid to speak too loudly. You are not dying, Dax. Well, that's something. You are awakening, Dax blinked. What? She stepped forward and showed him the scan. This isn't just about anatomy. Your cells, your chemistry, your pheromones. It all reacts with ours. Perfectly. Dax scratched his head. Okay? Still not following. Salinia looked him in the eyes. You are biologically compatible with over 87% of known Rathzulan female lines. That shouldn't be possible. You carry something in your DNA we thought extinct. You mean like a genetic match? She nodded. More than that. You're not just a match, you're a reset. Behind the one-way mirror, Jara stood with arms folded. She didn't trust Salinia. Not fully. The council had moved too quickly, called too many watchers. Even now, masked figures sat in the viewing room. Too quiet. Jara didn't like this. Dax was strange. Annoying even. But he didn't deserve to be treated like property. And she knew exactly what the council wanted next. Back in the lab, Dax looked down at his hands. So what do you want from me now? Blood? Samples? Or am I signing? Up for an alien baby farm? Salinia's lips tightened. No one will force you, I promise, but we must understand. If there's even a small chance you can help bring back fertility to our race. She paused. There are people who would do anything to control that power. That word stuck with him. Control. Are you one of them? He asked softly. Salinia's face softened for the first time. No, she whispered. I lost 2 daughters to genetic decay. They were born weak and faded after days. If there's a way to save others like them, I want to find it. But not like this. Not through chains. Dax nodded. I'll help you, but on one condition. What is it? I'm not a sample, he said firmly. I'm a person. You treat me like one. Salinia nodded. Agreed, but not everyone agreed. In the shadows of the council tower, masked figures watched the data stream from the scan. One of them turned to the others. The human is real. He is fertile. Potent. A second hissed. Then take him. Salinia has grown. Soft. Another growled. Use force if needed. His cooperation is not required. They activated the beacon. Back in the lab, the walls began to flicker. Salinia's screen blinked red. Unauthorized signal detected. What's happening? Dax asked. Salinia's eyes widened. We've been traced. Someone's coming for you. Dax jumped to his feet. I thought you said I was safe. You were, she said quickly. But the council must have shared the data too widely. You need to leave, now. The lab light snapped to emergency mode. Jara's voice echoed over the comm. Extraction team inbound, 10 seconds, I'm rerouting power, get him out of there. Salinia opened a hidden panel in the wall. Behind it, a small tube-like escape tunnel stretched downward. Go, she shouted. Dax hesitated. What, about you? I'll stall them, she said. You're the only one that matters now. He wanted to argue, but the floor above cracked loudly. No time. He dove into the tunnel and slid into darkness. Minutes later, deep under the lab, he landed in a maintenance tunnel. Narrow, dusty, lit only by emergency glow lines. Jara was already there, waiting with a plasma blade. Let's move, she said. Dax panted. Why are you helping me? Jara looked him in the eye. Because you're the first male in years I've met who didn't try to sell me a fantasy or chain me to a lab table. Jara's secret concern. The tunnel was dark, damp, and filled with steam from broken pipes. Jara moved fast, her heavy boots echoing in the tight space. Dax followed behind, breathing hard, trying to keep up. Where are we going? He asked. To an old smuggler's hideout, Jara said. Beneath the lower city. No trackers work down there. No signals get through. Dax wiped sweat from his forehead. You've used it before? Once. When I was being hunted too. They crawled through a vent shaft and dropped into a hidden chamber carved into rock. The space was small, but dry. A dim red light glowed from a backup battery. Metal crates were stacked against the wall, some covered in dust, others stamped with the old rebellion symbol. Jara sealed the entrance. Dax leaned against the wall, exhausted. So, he said between breaths, do I thank you now or after we're both arrested? Jara didn't laugh. She stood still, her arms crossed tightly, her golden eyes watching him in silence. Finally, she spoke. You have no idea how dangerous you are. Dax raised a brow. Because I accidentally caused a fertility panic? She stepped closer. No. Because you brought hope into a place built on control. Dax looked at her. You didn't seem like someone who believed in hope. Jara's voice softened. I didn't. She sat on a crate and looked down at her clawed hands. When I was young, I was part of the bio trials. Selected as a potential mother for new genetic lines. They called us vessels, that was our title. That's horrible, Dax said. She nodded. We were tested, injected, studied. Not one child survived beyond 10 days. They blamed us. Said we were defective. But the truth is, our kind was dying from the inside. Dax sat beside her slowly. Is that why you became a landlady? Jara gave a small smile. I wanted to be around life. Even if it was noisy, messy, or foolish. Renting rooms to outworlders made the silence feel less heavy. They sat quietly for a moment. Then Jara looked at him again. When I first saw you, she said, I thought you were just another soft, clueless alien. But now I see. You might be more than that. Dax chuckled. Is that your way of saying I'm useful? She didn't laugh this time. No, she said quietly. It's my way of saying I'm scared. That made Dax stop. You? She nodded. They're going to come after you, Dax. Not just for science, not just for reproduction, but to own you, to breed you, to clone you. Dax frowned. You think they'd actually go that far? I know they would, she said, her eyes hard, because they already tried it, with others. She opened a crate nearby and pulled out an old data chip. She handed it to him. Dax slotted it into a portable reader. Images appeared. Dark labs, failed hybrids, dying alien children, experiments marked confidential genetic cross failures. Dozens of test subjects, all failed, all erased. Dax stared in horror. They've been trying to replace natural life for years. And now, Jara whispered, you've shown them a shortcut. Dax closed the tablet slowly. His voice was steady now. Then we don't run anymore. Jara turned to him. What? You said it yourself, hope is dangerous, so let's use it, let's make the truth loud. Let the galaxy see what they're trying to hide. Jara raised an eyebrow. You have a plan? Not yet, he admitted, but I know someone who might. Back above ground, hidden in the cliffs, Dr. Salinia limped toward an encrypted transmitter, clutching her side. She had survived the lab raid. Barely. Blood trickled from her arm, but her mind was sharp. She keyed in a code. A message burst into deep space. To any remaining free networks, the human is real. They're coming for him. If you believe in choice and future and freedom, then help him. She hit send and collapsed. Betrayal and the escape. The hideout walls trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. Dax and Jara jumped to their feet. A low humming sound echoed through the tunnels, deep and mechanical. Jara cursed under her breath. That's a tunnel borer. Military grade. They found us. Dax grabbed the data chip with the Council's secret experiments and shoved it into his coat. We have to move, Jara nodded. Follow me. I have a backup path, but we'll need to move fast. They sprinted through a rusted side hatch, crawling through broken pipes and climbing narrow shafts. The sounds behind them grew louder, metal digging into stone, voices shouting, heavy boots marching. As they reached a fork in the tunnel, Jara paused. "Right leads to the smuggler's dock," she said. "Left goes to the surface, but it's exposed." "Then right," Dax said quickly. But suddenly Jara's comm device buzzed. "Jara, this is Commander Rax. Stand down. Surrender the human. We'll clear your record. You'll be rewarded. We promise." Jara froze. Her jaw tightened. Dax looked at her. "Jara?" She didn't move. "All you have to do is walk away. Leave him." The silence stretched. Dax stepped back slowly, his eyes narrowing. "You contacted them, didn't you?" Jara turned to him, her expression unreadable. "I did," she said. Dax's heart dropped. "But not for a deal," she added. She reached into her belt and pulled out a small round device. A detonation puck. "I lured them down the wrong tunnel." Boom! The left tunnel behind them collapsed. Screams and roaring machinery were drowned by falling rock. Jara exhaled. "I had to make them think I was turning you in. It was the only way to distract them." Dax stared at her, breathing hard. "Remind me never to play poker with you." They kept running. They reached the smuggler's dock, a forgotten landing pad hidden inside a cliff. One small freighter waited, its old engine humming. The pilot stood at the ramp. He was a thin alien with copper skin, wearing tinted goggles and a half-broken helmet. "You're late," he said. "I was about to take off." Jara tossed him a chip. "You're not flying without us," he shrugged. "Fine. But the heat's rising. They'll have flyers in the sky soon." Dax and Jara boarded quickly. The door slammed shut. As the ship lifted off, Dax looked down through a side window and froze. A small convoy of black ships rolled into the canyon below, and in the center, Dr. Salinia, alive, standing, wearing military robes now. "She betrayed us," Dax whispered. "She's with them." Jara stepped beside him. "No, that's not betrayal." She zoomed in through a scope. Salinia's lips were moving. Quietly, the scanner auto-translated. "He must not be taken alive." Jara's eyes darkened. "They plan to silence you permanently. They're done experimenting." Dax stepped away from the window, heart racing. "She saved me once, now she wants me dead." Jara placed a hand on his shoulder. She didn't want this, but she knew it would come. Above the canyon, the freighter burst through the clouds. Laser. Fire followed. 2 black ships were already chasing, small, fast, armed. The smuggler pilot shouted, "They're locking on!" Jara ran to the gun turret. "Keep flying. I'll handle the rest." Dax sat in the co-pilot seat, hands shaking. "Tell me we're not gonna die." The pilot grinned. "We're not gonna die. We're gonna crash with style." Behind them, the sky lit up with fire. Jara's aim was deadly. One black ship exploded in midair. The second got close. Too close. Dax stared at the controls, then at the emergency weapons system, a big red button. He pressed it. Kaboom, A hidden missile launched from the belly of the freighter and hit the second ship head-on. The sky turned orange, then silence. They were free again. For now. Inside the ship, Dax sat on the floor, his back to the wall, trying to breathe. Jara knelt beside him. "You okay?" He looked up at her, eyes tired. "I'm not built for this. I'm just a repair tech. I fix broken engines, not lead revolutions." Jara touched the side of his face gently. "You may not be a fighter," she said softly, "but you carry something more powerful than fists." "What's that?" "Possibility. The bond beyond biology." The smuggler's ship drifted silently over a sea of red clouds, its wings cracked and engines flickering. The damage was bad, but they were alive. Dax sat in the corner of the hold, holding the small data chip with everything. The council wanted to bury the fertility failures, the illegal labs, and the proof that he, a human, was the biological key they feared and needed. Beside him, Jara stood with her arms crossed, keeping watch. She hadn't slept in 2 days, but her golden eyes were still sharp. The message they'd received played again. To the one with the blood of renewal. We are coming. You are not alone. Dax looked up. Do you think it's real? Jara nodded slowly. Old rebel frequencies, I remember them from my youth. Someone out there heard the call. Dax sighed. I'm just one guy with an unwanted organ and a target on his back. Jara smirked. You're more than that now. 3 hours later, their ship landed on a hidden moon surrounded by asteroid belts. A small camp awaited, camouflaged in rocks guarded by rebels, scientists, and freeborn survivors. When Dax stepped out, they bowed to him. He panicked. No, don't bow. I'm not royalty. One rebel smiled. You carry the first sign of real life we've seen in a generation. That makes you more than royal. He looked to Jara for help. She simply said, Get used to it. Inside the camp, Dax gave everything he had. His blood samples, the data chip, the logs from Selenia's lab. The rebel medics scanned him not like a lab animal, but with awe and care. The results shocked them all. Dax's genetic code wasn't just compatible. It was adaptive. It could bond with multiple species and respond to suppressed traits in alien biology. Something about humans, hidden deep, carried forgotten paths of life. But that wasn't all. One medic whispered, His presence affects hormone stability. Look. On a nearby screen, female volunteer subjects of different alien races showed sudden improvements. Heart rate stabilized, cells regenerated. Hope spread like wildfire. Later that night, Jara sat beside Dax near a quiet campfire, flames crackling beneath the alien stars. He held a warm cup in his hands and looked into the flames. They still want to use me, he said. Some will, Jara replied, but some want to walk beside you. He nodded slowly. I'm scared, Jara. She leaned closer. So am I. There was a long silence. Then she added softly, But I'm more afraid of going back to a world without choices, without futures, without children. Dax looked at her. Do you still believe in that future? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and took his hand. For someone like her, once trained as a vessel with no voice, it was more than touch. It was trust. It was a choice. The next day, the rebels broadcast the files to the entire system. The truth went viral. The council's secrets were exposed. The labs, the corruption, the cloning failures, the cover-ups, and one name echoed across every channel. Dax Corvin, the human catalyst. Some governments feared him, others tried to buy him, but many stood up and protected him. Not because he was a weapon, because he was a reminder that nature always finds a way, and sometimes that way comes in the form of a man who just wanted a cheap room and a little peace. Weeks later, on the edge of a quiet new colony, Dax helped build greenhouses with Jara and the rebels. Children played nearby, laughing, shouting. Jara stood beside him, arms crossed as always, but a soft smile on her lips. They're calling it the first free generation, she said. Dax wiped his brow. I'm just glad no one's scanning my pants anymore. Jara laughed. Don't be so sure. He raised a brow. Joking, she said, mostly.